In about a half hour, Mitt Romney is scheduled to make a campaign appearance at businesses in Fort Worth, Texas. Right now, the state, along with Florida, being closely watched for an aggressive effort to remove what they say are ineligible voters from the rolls. However, that effort is reportedly plagued by problems, including outdated computer programs, faulty procedures, other issues. Lisa Olson reported on all of this for the Houston Chronicle. She joins us now from Houston. So, Lisa, as we pointed out, they're talking about some issues with computer programs, but there's also a concern that certain groups are being targeted, particularly people who might vote for Democrats or President Obama.
I didn't find any evidence of that in my reporting, but there certainly are lawsuits that have been filed both in Harris County and in Galveston County, in which Democrats and other groups are making those kinds of allegations. I was looking more at the process that's used across the state in my reporting.
What is the process across the state then?
Well, there's an effort to read out dead voters and voters who are convicted of felonies and voters, of course, who are non-citizens who say so when they go to get called for jury duty. And that effort really is what depends on these outdated computer programs and these old procedures where there's a lot of comparison of records that are basically hand-generated by voters when they register to vote, and then compared with all sorts of other databases. And then these cancellation notices go out, and what I found was that there were 300,000 cancellation notices that went out passed after the last presidential election to voters who were valid voters. And so in that effort to clean the rolls, they were targeting basically what looked like the wrong people. And a lot of times it was because a voter shared the same name as someone else, or a voter failed to get a notice that was sent in a mass mailing. These are the kinds of procedures that are used not only in Texas but in other states, and that result in a lot of people, even without knowing it, being suspended as voters or even canceled.
And those people obviously feel that, at least so much so, that this is an injustice, that there have been lawsuits filed. But there has been concern, Lisa, while your reporting, as you indicate, did not find this, but for example, in the Hispanic community in Texas, there's been concern that that group of voters have been targeted, or perhaps some of this data certainly leads to a trend of more of their names being on the rolls than anything else, or removed from the rolls.
There's a lot of problems with people with all kinds of common names, and certainly in Harris County and across the state, Hispanics share first and last names more than Anglo-Texans. And so these kinds of problems can be experienced more often by people who are Hispanic. But in Harris County, there were not more disproportionate numbers of cancellations of Hispanics compared to Anglos. But that doesn't mean that it's not an issue of a lot of concern. And certainly Hispanics and others also use different variations of their names. So they can be, unfortunately, red flagged because, say, they use two last names on one record and one on another record. Or a woman can be receive this kind of notice because she got divorced or married or just changed her last name or uses a different last name as a professional.
But Lisa, going to the lawsuits that are filed, what's at the heart of those lawsuits for those people who feel that they are being treated beyond unfairly, that their rights are being violated, perhaps?
Well, that's the issue that is of concern, is whether these procedures, whether or not they're being enforced fairly or unfairly, are impacting certain groups. And I think certainly in the research I did primarily in Harris County, you could see that poor neighborhoods were impacted. Young people, people under 30, were much more likely to be suspended or canceled, regardless of their age or regardless of their ethnicity.
As I understand it, more than 1.5 million Texans could be removed from the state's list of registered voters. Lisa, thank you for your reporting and thank you for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.